Oh, hey. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's show. It's Sunday. Sunday, no fun day, wind down hour with me here. I just want to say before we begin, I've been really mulling over the idea of doing the anti show, which is not particularly a new concept, but maybe sort of a repackaging of an old concept. That's the plan, at least. So keep your eyes peeled. I think that's going down. But tonight, we do have a theme for tonight's show. It's a philosophical topic. You know, I like delving into philosophy from time to time here. You know, sometimes we talk music, sometimes we talk movies, sometimes we talk minutia. Tonight, I feel like is a night to discuss, something philosophical. And that particular philosophical quandary is money. I want to talk about money. Particularly there's an old adage that money can't buy happiness. And, one of my favorite bands of all time, the Beatles, they have a song called Can't Buy Me Love. Can't buy me love. I'm not going to sing the whole thing for you, so there's that, right? But the question is, ultimately, does money buy happiness or does it not? And to help us dive into that question, we're going to look at an article from The Conversation. This is from July 9th, 2020. So it's 4 years old. So, a lot has changed in 4 years. This was written at the height of the pandemic, right? Things have kind of changed significantly, and not necessarily for the better. I don't know, maybe for the better. I haven't really thought about it like this. This is by Jean Twenge. She's a professor of psychology at the San Diego State University, and you're going to hear me wheezing heavily because I'm a bit sick. I'm a bit sick and I don't feel good. And yet I have to get this show off the docket because we got so much more coming. So I want to get this done. Son of a gun. Son of a gun. All right, there it is. There it is, folks. There it actually is. It's actually happening. Okay. Money. Does money buy happiness? Let's read. The article claims money buys even more happiness than it used to. So the article is inferring 150% that money does buy happiness. Not only does it buy happiness, it buys more happiness than it used to. Do I personally, and here's what the ultimate rhetorical question is, do I think, I don't know if it's rhetorical, but for me, do I think money buys happiness? And I think the answer is both yes and no, actually. The irony is that money, I think the answer is that it can buy happiness. I think the old adage is not really correct. I don't think money, can't buy happiness. I think it absolutely can buy happiness. And that's because of the society that we live in. That exists. That notion exists because of the society that we live in. If the society that we lived in was different than what it is, then the old adage, I think, would ring true. Many factors determine happiness, but one has stirred considerable controversy over the years, and that is money. While the old adage says that money can't buy happiness, several studies have determined that the more your income increases, the happier you are, up until $75,000 a year. After hitting that threshold, more income doesn't make a difference. But as an analysis I did in 2020 of more than 40,000 U.S. adults aged 30 and over, my colleague and I found an even deeper relationship between money and happiness. I'm going to pause it right there because, again, the article is really a springboard for the conversation here, or the conversation I'm hoping to occur here. The reality is, the bottom line is that money buys freedom. What does that mean? It means that the more money you have, the freer you are to pursue the things that can make you happy. So if you are a person who is focused and driven and knows what in life makes them happy, makes one happy, whatever it may be, whether you want to be some sort of scientist discovering breakthroughs, or you like to dance ballet, or you like to go watch monster trucks, or maybe you like to go to the movies every single day of your life. Maybe you like to make movies. Maybe you just want to, wrestle a pig in Jello, on top of a fucking Zamboni in an ice rink. Maybe that's the key to your happiness. No matter what, any of those things become more possible with the more money that you have. And the reason why is because you have the freedom. You're not chained down to working a 9-to-5 job, which, you need, we have to work to live. We live to work and we work to live. And, there are some people that argue, like, why is society built this way? Like, why? Like, there are many reasons why. You could sit here and go through the laundry list of economical reasons as to why things are the way they are, why they've always been what they've been. But at the end of the day, when you look at the fact that, like, Henry Ford invented the 8-hour work week, you know what I mean? Because it allowed him to make more cars and make more money for him. And then that became the standard for ways of life for everybody. I mean, not everybody, but you look at like retail or hourly wage jobs, like all of them are like sort of partitioned off into 8-hour shifts. That all started because of a guy like Henry Ford in an auto factory. That's crazy when you think about it. Let's keep reading the article and we'll continue on with this conversation. Because the survey data spanned 5 decades from 1972 to 2016, we were also able to see if the link between money and happiness changed over the years. And that's when things got interesting. Today, money and happiness are more strongly related than they were in the past. It seems money buys more happiness than it used to. How did this happen? And, this is going to get really sort of political here, but, we gotta, this is what we got to talk about. This is what we're talking about. Money, happiness. How did this happen? A striking class divide. We decided to look at happiness trends through the lens of class, specifically via income and education. Among white Americans in the 1970s, adults with and without a college degree were equally likely to say they were very happy, around 40%. But by the 2010s, there was an educational gap in happiness. Only 29% of those with a degree said that they were very happy, compared with 40% of those with a degree. The same was true for income. So that's interesting. Only 29% of those without a degree said they were very happy, compared with 40% with a degree, meaning that if you got a degree, you were going to be more happy in 2010. The same was true for income. The difference in happiness by income level grew steadily larger from the 1970s to the 2010s. Amy says, money contributes to happiness when it helps us make basic needs. True. But Amy, here's a question for you. What if all of your basic needs were met? What if, and this is where universal, there's this thing called universal income that they've sort of experimented with and whatnot, where it's like, or, just the notion of like, if all of your basic needs were met and you were free, you didn't have to worry about like earning money to pay bills to like live, and you were just free to pursue the things that you are passionate about, how would that change your life? Right? I know for me, when I used to be a waiter, and I worked as a waiter because I wanted to make movies on my own. I didn't want to spend 14 hours a day on sets being a PA. I wanted to make my own. I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be my own directing boss, right? And I did that. I went out and I did that. And I worked as a waiter 40 hours a week just I mean, that's what I had to do in order to live because I couldn't make money making those movies. Like that wasn't making me money, but it was making me happy. So I found myself at a certain time in my life where the thing that was making me happy was not the same thing that was making me money. The thing that was making me money allowed me to do the thing that was making me happy. But if I had the money already, then I would have been able to do the thing that was making me happy. And therefore, I would have been intrinsically more happy. Instead of suffering, I suffered. I suffered in that job in a variety of ways. And listen, I'm not the only one. Obviously, those of you who out there who still are in the trenches in the restaurants and whatnot, and for a variety of reasons, some of us are artists. Some of us, this is just the easiest way to have a job and, see our families and whatever. There's a million reasons why, but the point is that we do things that we don't want to do that don't make us necessarily happy. Not everybody, not every single person, but many of us do things that we don't want to do because we need that money to either A, live, or B, to do the things that we want to do. So the logical conclusion could be reasoned that if we had the money that we needed, we wouldn't have to suffer, and therefore could do, at least because that's the way that our society works and functions right now. And, there's a lot of mentalities. I think a lot of boomer mentality is like, there's like honor in working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week until you 65, and then you retire, and then you feel no purpose in your life and you don't know what to do, and then you die. And then on your tombstone, what do they write? I love that meme. He worked really hard. They worked really hard. She worked really hard. Really? Is anybody going to give a shit? Is anybody going to remember you because you worked really hard? No, they might remember you because you provided for your family. You made sure there was a roof over your kids' heads. Your kids will remember that. But no one's going to remember you because you were the best fucking hostess at Applebee's. You know what I mean? And there might be some people out there that the job, there are some people out there that the job that you're doing is your purpose. Some people want to be fucking teachers and make a difference as a teacher, right? And they love teaching, and it's like, wow, I'm getting paid to not only make a difference in other people's lives, but like, this is what my calling, this is what I want to do, right? Like that sort of thing. So there's some people whose purpose is aligned with what they're doing for a living, for a job. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. I'm not here to say one is better than the other. I'm just simply saying that, like, let's say that teacher had a lot of money and didn't have to, I don't know, it's different though, because a teacher, if you're a teacher, you go to the school and you teach. Maybe they want to fucking open up their own school. Or I don't know. I guess maybe a teacher's a bad example because there are people that are very passionate about teaching and want to teach, right? Amy says, it can be difficult to imagine a life filled with joy and contentment without a hefty bank account. But, I think the old adage about money can't buy happiness really comes down to material possessions. Material possessions don't necessarily fulfill us and keep us happy. They don't nourish our spirits and our minds and our passion. But money gives you freedom, and freedom allows you to pursue all that stuff. So that's the difference fundamentally. Do we even need to keep reading the article? I don't know. I feel like we really hit the crux of it right there, but let's just keep reading and see what they says. Happiness levels declined for whites without a college degree. I mean, this is talking about a lot of sort of how it applies to different groups of Americans. The happiness of Black Americans with more education and income increased from the 1970s to the 2010s, while the happiness of those with less education and income stayed steady. Thus, a small happiness gap by income level in the 1970s became a larger gap by the 2010s for Black Americans. I think, like, separate here. Furthermore, unlike previous studies, there was no happiness plateau or saturation at high levels of income. For example, adults making $160,000 or more a year in 2020 dollars were happier than those making between $115,000 and $160,000. Beckman, good night to you. I don't know what that means. I don't get it. I don't understand. Less isn't more. There are likely many reasons for these trends. For one, income inequality has grown. That this is true. This has been the big gap, and I suppose, part of the. This is getting into something I don't want to talk about, but I mean, it's just it's true. The rich have gotten richer, and the poor have gotten poorer. The rich don't pay taxes. That's the bottom line. Rich people don't fucking pay taxes. We live in a world where, you would think that the more money you have in a bank, the more money you'd have to pay to the bank to keep that money in the bank. But the paradox is that because if you don't have $1,500 in your basic checking for Citibank, then they charge you a fee, a maintenance fee. That's fucking weird. I know what the explanation is. The explanation is that your money, if you have enough money in the bank and that the money is going towards whatever the bank is doing with it, lending and borrowing and spending, or however the fuck banks do with interest and thing. I don't know. That all that bank shit goes above my head. But they're doing something with your money where they go, oh, we don't have to charge you this personal fee. But is that true, though? Is like that intrinsically? Like, I read the other day that Bill Gates has a card that if he shows this card at any McDonald's, that he gets free McDonald's wherever he goes. So he's got like some sort of promotional card from McDonald's. It's like a gold-plated card. Shows it at McDonald's, gets free food. Why does Bill Gates, the richest man in America, need free food? He's the guy who could afford to pay for the fucking food. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why aren't you giving the fucking free food to someone who doesn't have any fucking money? Like, this is where shit is kind of backwards. And now the irony is that you have the richest people in the world are somehow, by ratio, are in a lower fucking tax bracket than those in whatever the disappearing middle class and lower income class. I mean, it's just insane, dude. It's insane. Jody Ramon says, not into politics, but not in politics really, but yesterday was wild. Listen, I don't want to talk about that, Jody, because that's very off topic, but I will say this. As much as I hate Donald Trump, and I hate Donald Trump, I hate that fucker. I really do. I don't want to see, in the same way that I didn't want to see what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband. I don't want to see that happen to Trump. I don't want to see that to happen to anybody. I want to see it happen to JFK. It's funny. You see all these misfit fans who are like big Trumpers. They're like, they're like getting like all heated that like people are making all these memes. And I'm like, dude, like, have you heard the song Bullet by the Misfits? Like, what is your, like, what, like, are you for real? Like, are you for real right now? Like chill the fuck out. But either which way, what happened yesterday was crazy. It's not something that I wish upon anybody. And, listen, as Mark Twain once said, let me put it this way. Mark Twain said this: I would never wish anybody dead, but they're certainly taken delight in reading certain obituaries. Does that make sense? I like that. I think that's the perfect way to sort of leave it. To get back to this, the average company CEO makes 271 times the salary of the typical worker, up from 30 times more in 1978. While it was once possible to buy a house and support a family with a high school education, that has become increasingly difficult. In a society with more income inequality, the gulf between the haves and the have-nots is more stark, with fewer belonging to the middle class. That's partially because the cost of many key needs, such as housing, education, and healthcare, have outpaced inflation, and salaries haven't kept up even as workers became more productive. And that's the bottom line. right? Like like we're choking the society that we created. Greed and capitalism it's making things worse. And the bottom line is we now live in a society where money does make you happy. I'll tell you this. Here's the paradox. Here's the paradox. I was unemployed when I started doing this online, which I love doing. I love doing this broadcasting. When I started broadcasting online, I was unemployed. I was laid off from my job. I was unemployed. I was getting unemployment for a little while, and then that stopped. I was applying to jobs constantly. I was doing a lot of gigging. I was doing freelancing. I was doing freelance editing. I started working as a substitute teacher at a school. And I had no fucking money. I had very little money. We were scraping by our teeth. And I was trying to make a movie. I was trying to make Gouge Away. And I was looking at one of those video journals. And you know what I said in that video journal? Despite all of and I'll tell you, I was feeling choked. The pressure. I'm like, I got 2 kids. We have a mortgage. We have bills. Like, I cannot, what am I going to do? And all the while, I'm like, I don't want to go back to restaurants. I came from restaurants. I was like, I finally got out of the restaurants. It's like, I don't want to go back to those restaurants. I just don't want to do it, man. I don't. I won't see my family until midnight every night. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it if I don't have to. And I held out and I was trying to find a job. And all the while I'm trying to make this movie and I have no money. I've never been more broke. And you want to know what I said in my video journal? It was true. I had never been happier. I had never been happier. You know why? Because I was pursuing my dreams. I was pursuing something that I felt passionate about. I was doing this every day. I was doing this broadcasting. And my love and passion for broadcasting actually started to make me money. I started to make money on here through YouTube and then through Patreon. It's not enough to live on, but it's too much to stop doing it. But the amazing thing is that just by doing something that I love, I was starting to make money doing it. It was like this incredible thing. Point being is I was incredibly happy despite not having certain things that I needed because I didn't have enough money. And then the flip side is now years later, years have passed. I have a day job. It's funny. There's some haters on here who every once in a while leave a comment like, Frumess, get a day job already. I've had a day job. I have been steadily employed since January of 2023. Okay. Doing great. I have an office. I got a company computer. I got a lot of things. And you want to know something? Life is stressful in different kind of ways, but I'm also equally happy, even though I devote so much of my time, so much of my life is devoted to this job that frankly, it's like playing a part. I play this part. That's not who I am, this guy who does whatever it is that I'm doing. I play a part. I go into work every day. I put a mask on and I'm somebody else just so that I can make the money that I need. But you want to know something? I'm also happy. Because I have money that gives me more freedom to do things that I couldn't do when I had no money. Here's a great example. Because I'm now making more money, I started buying supplements. What kind of supplements might you ask? Probiotics. I started buying turmeric, magnesium, omega-3s. I started taking these every day. And you want to know something? It's really helped me, health-wise, improve. You know what I mean? I started buying better food that I could afford. Trying to think what else. I got a new car. All of these things. I got a new cell phone. I mean, these are all material things, but the point is and I know that it's not the material thing that makes me happy, but it gives me the freedom to get things that I want, to do things that I wanted to do because I have the money to do it now, or I have more money to do it. So the paradox is I was happy when I had no money. I had never been more happy or fulfilled in my life. And right now I don't know if I'm the same kind of happy, but I'm also happy to an extent in that aspect of my life. There are other aspects of my life where things are not so great, if I'm being honest with you, that I'm most certainly not going to get into on here. But the point is that it's just different, and yet I'm still happy. So it's kind of interesting to compare and contrast these kinds of, these different points of life where you have different things in your life, and it can be very sticky. And you know what else is sticky? Something else that came by the way of doing something I felt passionate about. Sharpie Riot was like, I want to sponsor your channel. I love your show. I want to sponsor your channel. And so if you need stickers, you can get them here. Link is down in the description. You can get 200 stickers for $69. You just go to ridestickers.com/Frumess, Frumess. And away you go. I'll tell you this. I've started work on a new project too. Before we play the video, I've started work on a new project, top secret Project X, that I can't talk about. I've talked about it before here on the channel, but I can't talk about it right now because I just don't want to. I just want to keep my head down and do the work. But today, I had to make a $1,000 investment in what I was doing artistically. So I went on, I got the things that I needed. I just spent $1,000, and I could do that because I was able to save money because I had a job where I could take a small percentage of the money along with the Patreon money and the YouTube money that I get, and I have it all going into a bank account. And that has allowed me to I'm not doing a crowdfunding campaign. I'm simply, I've been slowly saving up money so that I have the means to go and do the thing that is making me happy. And that's the bottom line. If you are doing the things that make you happy in life, whether they're bringing you money or not, then you're probably living your life in the best way that you can. That's the key takeaway here, I think, more than anything else. If there's anything else you take away from this conversation tonight, it's that if you are happy doing whatever it is that you're doing, then you are fucking winning. At least that's my feeling on it.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too, posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
And that is a promise. Biz is here. And Biz says it can buy the means for happy memories for you and your loved ones, or give yourself a chance to do something you enjoy. So in a way, yes, sometimes can. No one says happiness has to cost a ton. Well said, Biz. Amy says, I worked as a waitress during high school, and I hear you, Jeff. I hated working in the food industry. It can be, listen, it can be very toxic. And yet, again, and I know a lot of fucking single moms and single dads, whatever, people that have to support their families, and that's the only way they can do it. And there's nothing wrong with being a server or a waitress or working in the food industry. But sometimes you decide that it's something that you don't want in your life anymore. And if you have the means to either, if you have the means to make a change or decide that you want to go in a different direction, you can, or you should try. And, there's some people who don't get that chance. There's some people who can't. There's some people who like the flexibility. There's some people that whatever. But if you've worked in food industry and you know how tiring it is and how disheartening it is, especially, the tipping system is a terrible system. It's horrible. It's cool for like 2 seconds when you first start, because you think in your head, you're like, oh, you mean like there's no limit to the amount of money that I can earn on a tip, but like when your livelihood is predicated on, when you're working 40 hours a week, because maybe you have benefits. I had my son's healthcare was on my thing when I was working as a waiter. So there's so many times I wanted to quit being a waiter, but I couldn't, because it would mean my son wouldn't have healthcare anymore. And, when you put in 40 hours a week and people don't tip you the equivalent of 40 hours a week or whatever, that fucking sucks, bro. And they just, who, again, in the same way that the discrepancy between the rich and the poor gets wider and wider, restaurants are more than happy to pay you less than minimum wage and let you make your money on tips. And if you don't get paid in those tips, they don't give a shit. They're just happy to not have to pay you a minimum wage. It's fucking bullshit. Eric's here and he says that he started watching earlier this time. I commend you, Eric. My voice is about to give out, so let's finish the rest of this. There are likely many reasons for these trends. For one, income inequality has grown. Oh, we already read that part. Marriage rates may also explain part of the trend. In the 1970s, marriage rates hardly differed by class, but now those with more income and education are more likely to be married than those with less. Married people are happier on average than unmarried people. When we controlled for marriage rates, the trend toward a growing class divide in happiness lessened, though it still remains, suggesting several factors were at work. Now, let me put this in your pipe for a minute. Let's get a little imaginative here. Imagine a world where there's some in between being married and not married that affords you the benefits of being married. So there are some people who are never going to get married for a million reasons. They're never going to find the right partner, or maybe they're a very difficult person romantically. Like, it's just not going to happen. Whatever the reason may be. Maybe they like to be single. I'm not going to sit here and like try to discern, right? But there are just some people who are never going to get married, even people with kids. Why is it that people still can't pair up and have some kind of partnership where they can benefit in the same way that married people benefit? Why have we tied marriage to all these benefits? Why can't two friends, two single moms, and this happens all the time. Why can't two single mothers who are really good fucking friends buy a house together, move in together, and where their kids live together, and then they live as a family? Why not? And I mean, that does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but why can't they have some kind of social or legal status that gives them some kind of benefit that in the same way that married people can benefit from filing taxes jointly? I mean, I suppose the two women could get married, whether they are, attracted to the same sex or not. You know what I'm saying though? Like, why is there no in between? I guess there is. It's called common law marriage, right? I don't know. I digress. The road ahead. In 2015, a widely circulated paper found that the death rate for white Americans without college degrees was increasing. Many of these deaths were what the researchers called deaths of despair, including unaliving and ending oneself because of the partaking of drugs. If I say it any other way, I'm going to get spanked by YouTube. If anything, the class divide in well-being has grown even larger during the COVID pandemic, as lower income Americans were more likely to lose their jobs. All of this evidence suggests that the class divide in both physical and mental health is larger and growing in the US. Politicians, oh my God, I can't fucking talk. Jesus fucking Christ. Politicians are beginning to recognize this, with more supporting the idea of, here we go. Remember, Amy, I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if Amy's still here. UBI, Universal Basic Income. Okay. Eric says that he likes the points that I'm making. Thank you, Biz. I will feel better, hopefully. And Telescope says, life is about experience. It's about maximizing good experiences. No one on their deathbed thinks about paying their gas bill. Yeah, fuck yeah. It's so true. And the idea, you know what's fucking crazy? The idea that when we die, we leave debt behind. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm leaving debt behind. The moment I die, it should just evaporate. I know that's not how fucking economics or whatever works. But again, we also live in a country where the fucking president can pay $750 in taxes. Because that's what Trump did. Trump paid $750 in taxes. A guy who claims to have billions of dollars only paid $750 in taxes and gets venerated as a fucking hero. As a fucking hero for being smart and business savvy enough to pay that little, to cheat the system that he's supposed to uphold as the president. What kind of bullshit is that? What kind of bullshit is it for anybody, for any fucking guy who has billions of dollars to not pay more money? What are you going to do with all that money? Where are you going to, just in the same way we just said, you can't take debt to the grave. You can't take your money with you either. I shouldn't have lit that incense. That really did not help the situation, but I like incense. What can I say? You can't take it with you to the grave. It's so fucking stupid. Two things you can't take with you to the grave: debt and money. Although they try, it's funny. You can't take the money for sure, but they sure try to stick your loved ones with the debt. And that's bullshit. That's just bullshit. In the same way that it's bullshit that if there's no will that the state can repossess your family's possessions. Fuck you. Fuck you, man. Ugh, the chutzpah. So we were talking about universal basic income, UBI. Politicians are beginning to recognize this with the support of the idea of the universal basic income, in which all citizens receive a set amount of money from the government each month. And, obviously all the conservatives and the boomers go, oh, yeah, fucking let lazy people be lazy. It's what? When did we start venerating working yourself to the bone to make a fucking CEO wealthy? When did we start considering that to be fucking honorable? When did that become honorable? Biz is asking chutzpah. First of all, Biz, chutzpah, and I'm not saying this condescendingly. This is just educating. It's CHUTZPAH. And I'm saying that as the guy who butchers everything. So I have the chutzpah to even correct you on how to pronounce chutzpah. That's chutzpah. And you're right, Biz. Chutzpah is Yiddish, which is a blending of German and Hebrew. It's a bastard language called Yiddish, and chutzpah means the nerve. You have some nerve. You say, boy, they've got a lot of chutzpah. Chutzpanit. You don't have to say whoops at all. At all. We're all learning here. And I appreciate your curiosity. I think that's great. We should all be curious. See, this is how old this article is. Remember when Andrew Yang was running for president? But he did gain traction in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, partially through his support of universal basic income. And more mayors around the country are experimenting with guaranteed income. Fuck me. Oof. As a general rule, stark divisions by class have a negative impact on the well-being of society, One study found that people living in countries with more income inequality were less happy. In a nation already deeply polarized, these growing class divisions will likely only make matters worse as the 2020 election approaches. Political campaigns must recognize the ramifications of these sharp class divides. The nation's happiness and well-being are at stake. And that is it, guys. That's all I got for you tonight. What do you think? Does money equal happiness? Does money bring happiness? Like what signifies the line? Oh, woo. Eric says, the album I'm about to release will probably be my last, mainly due to the lack of funding. Money will always buy me a little, at least a little happiness. You know, Eric, if I may suggest to you, this is unsolicited advice. You're saying that the album you're about to, first of all, congratulations on releasing an album. Mazel tov to you. If the album you're about to release will probably be your last due to the lack of funding, but that making this album made you happy, you should never stop making albums. Even if it takes you 5 or 10 years between albums, you must never stop. You must do the things that make you happy in life. And if making music makes you happy, if that is what, you know, drives you and gives you purpose, you can't stop, Eric. Don't let the money stop you. When I was trying to make my movie, I didn't let not having money stop me. I wouldn't allow it to stop me. And I was so happy. So if that brings you happiness, you must continue. And I hope beyond hope that you will. Truly. From the bottom of my heart, I hope you don't stop. You can take a break. You can save your money to do it again, but don't ever stop, Eric. Telescope says, Denver just did a UBI test on 1,000 homeless participants. It found that 50% of the participants was able to get housing. Isn't that what a beautiful idea? You give 1,000, so 500 people were able to actually stop being homeless. How beautiful is that? Yes, I've heard Doyle's making a new CD as well. We'll hopefully we'll do some interviews too. We'll have some more Misfits fodder to fodder. That's it, guys. That's all I got. Keep your eyes peeled. Tomorrow night, I won't be live because I'm taping an interview with a very special guest. Really excited about this one. And I promise as soon as it's in the can, I will make an announcement as to who it is. But until that happens, I'm going to keep my mouth shut on this one. As always, peace, hair grease, you know all the rest. And we'll see you next time. Good nighty night. Enjoy Game of Thrones, or as they say, Hot D, House of the Dragon, Hot D. You like that?